So depending when this video goes up, it's either going to be Monday or Tuesday, I'm guessing. Impact pay-per-view happened. Redemption. So, let's get the negative out the way first. The big one that, in my opinion, really made this show go from you should see this to don't see it. And that's $40. For some reason, I understand $40 being a charge for traditional, old-school methods, like television, satellite, pay-per-view style services. But in this day and age where online streaming is nowhere near that price, because from what I remember, the Ring of Honor show was, I think, $15 or $20, the Supercard of Honor, because I think that was on Fight. And even through their own sort of network, it's what, $99 a year, so, that equates to less than $10 a month. WWE is $10 a month. Hell, even the various indies that put on live things. Shikara's subscription service is, I think, $8 a month. Powerbomb.tv streams are normally in the sort of $10 to $15 range. Sometimes cheaper. For, a live feed. $40? I don't think it's even $40 for, what do I call it? The No Regrets shows. In fact, I'm actually going to look at it. Let's look at the schedule. Yeah, I don't need that, please. So the next live show that they've got on, or the next big one. Okay, that's the Road to No Regrets. Yeah, Shine 50 is on Fight TV for $15. Ring of Honor's Bound by Honor from Florida is $10. Defiant Wrestling's No Regrets is $15. PCW is $15. The most expensive I'm seeing shows, by the looks of it, on their service, UFC, but that's because you're paying a premium price anyway. But other than that, all I'm seeing is like MMA and kickboxing stuff for like $15 or $20. The most expensive wrestling event that is listed on Fight's website is $15. And to me, that's the issue. That is the big old issue. Hell, if it's on the Global Wrestling Network thing that Impact are doing for UK fans, because I had to ask a friend how much it was online streaming, because it's not available over here per the agreements and whatever with the UK distribution. I believe it's going to be part of the subscription service, maybe, for UK fans. But even that is not going to be $40 to watch it. So weirdly, the loyal people that want to see it live are having to pay way above premium for the outright thing. I believe even the Greatest Royal Rumble, that WWE's doing this week, is available on traditional pay-per-view. And again, I'd expect a traditional pay-per-view price there. like your UFC, like your, HBO style boxing, like your Showtime. But not for an online streaming service, unless it is something like UFC, where they've got such a monopoly and such a brand that they can, afford to do something crazy, is where they do it. So yes, that's the one thing I have to get out the way first. It took a few minutes, but I'm stressing that $40 for an internet stream version of your show is way too much. If you priced it lower, more people would be interested. Hell, I've heard some people, certainly the review that Adam and Sean did from WrestleView and Fightful, respectively, that they co-combined on. They basically were considering whether it should have been free on Twitch, and they probably would have got the same amount of money that they earned from the people actually putting down $40 than they did for people that would tip via Twitch bits or subscriptions to the Twitch channel than they would have got at any point on the traditional iPay-per-view method. It's a bit risky because you can't really put stuff behind paywalls directly in terms of Twitch stuff. You can region block it, like I found out with some of the Shout Factory stuff, like the the Mystery Science Theater 3000 turkey marathons that you do Thanksgiving time. On YouTube, I can perfectly see them. They're now region blocked, and pretty much everything that Shout Factory does on their Twitch is now region blocked. Whether it be Ultraman or the other stuff that they've shown recently. So yeah, that took a while. Let's get to the... there were some negative bits in it, but overall, really positive. The first point, I didn't think I'd say this considering how concerned I was about this when it happened in New Japan. But Don Callus on commentary, man, this is a guy that really wasn't that interested in wrestling anymore. Now he's color commentator on New Japan, and now not just being sort of a behind the scenes sort of guy trying to work out the strings, he's also working out stuff in front of the camera via color commentary with Josh Matthews. He really helped Josh Matthews out. Josh Matthews seemed less like a douche. Because I think Don's like, tone it down, son. You can still sort of be a heelish character, which they did hint at with the little bit that they had with Matt Sydal. But I think in the main part, it was sort of just call it as it is. Perhaps have some... Because of course, the issue that you've got is Josh can sometimes be heel and sometimes be face, but so can Don. So you can't really have sort of an obvious, right, this is the bad guy and this is the good guy. I mean, you could, but... So yeah, Drago versus Aerostar, pretty good opening lucha match. Pretty impressive for an opening. Nice sort of way to open it on, I guess, the official new era, after all the bloody dust has settled from everything that's went down over the past 6 months. Maybe 5 months, whatever. Then we get LAX dropping the tag titles to Eli Drake and Scott Steiner. For the age that he is, which is like 55, Steiner's, what he's doing is pretty ridiculous. I mean, that the Frankensteiner from the turnbuckle, it's pretty ridiculous, in all honesty. It's probably good that the match didn't go on too long, but then it's interesting that there's 8 matches on this show, and most of them only went about 11 or 12 minutes. So really, there was a lot of promo bits and everything, but it sort of makes sense, because in that sense you're sort of talking like the old school WWE pay-per-views, when quite a lot of things had sort of video packages or lead-ups and everything. It did what it had to do, but by the looks of it with LAX, it looks as if Conan's gone. He was supposedly attacked or something. Part of me is wondering whether he's going because literally, like, the night before, at the AAA show, a stable was formed by, I'm trying to think, Juventud Guerrera, Kevin Cross, and I think Teddy Hart. The irony being now that Kevin Cross has left the promotion, despite being in this sort of big angle that they had at the end. But as that happened, right before they sort of showed up masked and unmasked themselves, there was a video package with a shadowy figure walking through a tunnel. Except from the shape of the shadowy figure, you could clearly tell it's Conan. So whether that, I don't know what that is. No sign of homicide or anything in this either. But Steiner was just like, I mean, if you heard that press conference, teleconference phone thing he did, when he was just feisty as all hell anyway, literally 30 seconds in as the guy's trying to give him the introduction, he's just like, shut the F up. Just shut up. I'll introduce myself, like... And throughout the show, he was flipping the bird, mouthing off at the fans. And then afterwards, when they had like a promo bit with P.E. Williams, and P.E. Williams was talking about, all this, statistics of his chances. And of course, who pops up is Scott Steiner to recall us back to Sacrifice. Because of course, P.E. Williams was in that promo. And he was like talking about how, the last time you were really good is when you were dressing up like me. And when you were ploughing your wife, you were dressed up like me. And then Petey's just like, well, shall we get a Cracker Barrel? And apparently Scott Steiner's reply was, yeah, bring your wife. Like, jeez. Steiner is crazy in a good way, I guess. Then the 6-way with, I'm trying to think, we had Xavier, DJZ, Brian Cage, Ishimori, El Hijo de Fantasma, and Trevor Lee. Solid match that basically had every single sort of style. You had the Lucha of Hio, you had the Japanese of Ishimori, you had the, I guess, North Carolina style, of Trevor Lee being a small guy, Xavier and DJZ to some extent being sort of aerial guys, and Cage being the machine that he is. That sufficed pretty well. Taya Valkyrie versus Kira Hogan was good, but the problem is I couldn't pay much attention to it because the big thing turned out as to who joined commentary, and that's Tessa Blanchard. This is what happens, WWE, when you turn her down multiple times. So yeah, it looks as if Tessa is now part of the Knockouts division. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I'm amazed they let her slip through the cracks in the Mae Young Classic compared to God knows how many people that they've put in that are probably going to get released. Like the Indian woman. I wish her all the success, but if it turns out that she's going to be released in about the next 12 months, that could have been a spot where Tessa Blanchard could have been. The same, to some extent, goes for many of the other sort of international signings. That it's like, you've done this for the publicity of like, oh look, we've got a Chinese woman or an Indian woman training at the Performance Center. If it comes out that like they get let go, it's like, so you did it just for the publicity at the time, and now 6 months on you're realizing, yeah, they aren't that good. So we'll see how it goes. The one thing though, Tessa was trying to put herself over as being good, which detracted from the match, which is annoying, even though the match was in all extents. Seidel beating Petey Williams to retain. Pretty solid match. I mean, you know, it was pretty good, in all honesty. You know, I like that direction that it sort of went. Petey Williams still being the maybe man, I guess. Unless they do it in Toronto. But I don't see how that'll happen because of the title cash-in or whatever. So then, OVE versus Edwards, Moose and Dreamer. For what we got out of this, like, I was going to say 11 minutes because that's how long the match went, but it sort of went on beforehand. I mean, the various weapon spots that we got and the spots that we did get were pretty well put together. And then the end with OVE winning. But then the Eddie Edwards vendetta and the way it came across sort of ratcheted everything up a notch. Mainly because Sami Callihan was taped sort of cross crucifixion style to the top rope by his wrists, and he was a bleeding mess, and he was going to swing in for a kendo stick. Eddie's wife came in and said, like, look, stop it. And he smacked the cane in her face. And she sold like death. And the medics came in. And the great thing is they were tending to Eddie's wife, while Sammy's just there, like, hanging, bleeding, and he's just like, well, he's dead. Because nobody's checking on him. And Tommy Dreamer's, like, angry and whatever, and it's like, and Eddie sort of realizes what's happened and whatever. And considering all the stuff that Sami Callihan's been up to recently, not just the Eddie Edwards stuff, but he garnered a lot of attention, be it positive or negative, however you want to spin it, because, you know, any publicity is good publicity, I guess. The way he bashed Kevin Sullivan open, I believe, last weekend. Yeah, it's, I'm intrigued to see where that goes, but, pretty well worked match, I will say. Then, Ali beating Su Yung. Su Yung with Braxton, because that became a thing. I still don't like the fact that they're trying to portray Ali as this woman that can't wrestle, despite, you know, Cherry Bomb and everything. I'm surprised that they gave her... To be honest, I should have seen it when they did the promos, in terms of giving her the win, because Ali was saying, I'm not a paper champion, you know, I deserve it. And I honestly think Su Yung probably was placeholder because other women weren't available or involved in other angles. Hopefully if this means that Ali can, like, be Cherry Bomb now, or gradually start to become Cherry Bomb, rather than just be this woman that's just learning how to wrestle who doesn't know how to wrestle. Because she's so good. And then the confusing one. The one where everyone was like, so it's Aries versus Penta Zero Miedo versus Rey Fenix. No, apparently, because AAA are approving of this show, because it's Impact, these guys have got their old identities back for this show and this stuff only. So yeah, Austin Aries defends the title against Pentagon Jr. and Phoenix. He wasn't even Pentagon Jr. for that long in Lucha Underground. Phoenix has always been Phoenix in there, but still. Very good match. I'd say on the same level as their match that they had at WrestleCon, in all honesty. Good little triple threat, and then just like that last match, it was Pentagon pinning Phoenix, with Aries not even being involved, meaning the title changes hands, and Pentagon Jr. is trying to get the records here of the 23 names. You know, if we take into account that the NWA title doesn't play into the Impact World title reign stuff, he joins Angle, Kurt Angle, Sting, Samoa Joe, Mick Foley, AJ Styles, Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy, Mr. Anderson, James Storm, Bobby Roode, Aries, which we already had, Bully Ray, Chris Sabin, Magnus, Eric Young, Lashley, EC3, Matt Hardy, Drew Galloway, Eddie Edwards, Alberto, and Eli Drake. So I'm intrigued to see where we go from this, especially considering, from what I can tell, they're taping all the TV right up to their next pay-per-view, which they announced on the show, which is going to be in Toronto in July. The main fact to me, looking at it, is... So that means Taya Valkyrie can't be on the card if we're going by the previous issues that affected everything that happened with Bound for Glory. And that they basically couldn't put her up there because there's the likelihood that she wouldn't be able to come back to America again because of visa stuff or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, it was a pretty solid, pretty good show, in all honesty. It's just the cost of it, I don't think was warranted. For a show that's literally titled Redemption, that's like trying to sort of get into people's good graces. That's the only sort of blip, really. And to some extent, letting Tessa talk too much. But yeah, we'll see how it develops. Taping is happening all across the week in the Impact Zone, in I think Sound Studio 19, before they go to Toronto to do Slammiversary and I guess some portion of TV taping from there to lead into, I'm guessing, Bound for Glory somewhere October, November time-ish, if we're going by the last few years. We'll see. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Check out all the other content here, be it movie stuff from AJ, be it parks and food stuff from Owen, be it gaming or wrestling or food from me. All that stuff is probably on the side or below you, depending what app you've got or where you're watching it. I don't know. Check it out. If you enjoy the content that this channel gives, give us a subscribe. All that sort of stuff that apparently you have to say. Something to do with a bell. Ring the bell 10 times. Or something. I don't know. I never know how to end these shows because, you know. Or I never know how to end these videos because I'm not the one that usually does the outro most of the time. So yeah. I'll be seeing you on the next video, everybody. That's all I've got to say about that. I think I got away with it.